Hello everyone. So today I'm really excited, as you can see from my smile, because this is the beginning of the series I talked about last Wednesday. And why I'm really excited is because do you like when you have an idea and a vision and seeing it actually come to life? I'm super, super excited. And I'm more excited because the first guest I have today is John Villegas, Uncle John. You're gonna know why I call him Uncle John very soon. And the reason I'm excited having John as the first person here today is because John is one person that when he has an information, he will never withhold it when it's going to make someone else better. He's one person who's bold to share his story. He's not afraid. He's real, like real. Uncle John, you're real. So I'm happy. I'm looking forward to the conversation we're going to have. There's going to be a real one. So that's it. If you're new here to my channel, you're very welcome. My name is Akbar and I'm really excited that you're here today. Please don't make today your last. Just click on the subscribe button. There's something here to bless you every Wednesday. And for every one of you that are going me on this journey, thank you so much. I do not take it for granted. So, Uncle John, before we... So you're going to hear me call him Uncle John. Like I said, I'm going to tell you why I call him Uncle John. So before we go further, if you just quickly tell them 1 minute. I'm just joking. Just quickly tell them, who is John Villegas?
Right. First of all, thank you very much for having me here. It's a pleasure. My name is John Villegas. I'm from Ecuador originally.
Okay.
And it's quite a lot. I will try to go straight to the point. Latinos are not really well known for that, but I will try my best. I'm a singer-songwriter originally.
Okay.
And I'm an entrepreneur. That's who I am. I became a Christian 14 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good.
I turned 13 years old on the 4th of November. So
wow.
Yeah.
You know the date. I'm really impressed with that. Like, that's really good. I mean, I've known John. I'm not even like 7 years plus each now. Yeah. So and John's wife were friends. Literally, you're part of the family. Like I said, we call him Uncle John because Uncle John, you are an uncle to my children. You'd be like, okay, hi, is a Latin and uncle to your children. But I think families are only made by blood. It's more than just blood that make family. You've been an uncle to the children. So I'm used to calling you Uncle John because that's what the kids call you. So thank you for being a very dear uncle to them. So when I spoke to you the last time, we're going to talk about this. First of all, thank you for agreeing to do this at very short notice. Uncle John came through really well. You see, that's why it's Uncle John. Uncle John, yeah. So, what really prompted me to do this video, like I said to do this series was because I believe Jesus, when you have an encounter with Jesus, you're never the same. It just makes a total difference in your life. And I believe also that when we share these stories, it helps people, either people that have never met Jesus to come to Jesus, or people who already know Jesus, also encourage them to build their faith. Just like the woman at the well, when she went to the village to tell everyone, a lot of people believed in Jesus because she shared that story, the encounter that she had. And so that's what really prompted me to want to do this series. Like, what difference does Jesus make in our life? When it comes to your life, like a makeover, it just changes, So, I like how you said you've been a Christian 14 years. Now, you're a Christian now. I'm very sure there's some people who see you, who knew you before. When they see you now, they have that kind of moment, like, is this John Villegas? Like, is this the same John that we know? Like, have you had such moments before? Like, John before and this John now, they are not like... It's just tell us a quick story,
recently I managed to get in touch with a friend of mine I used to work with a long time ago. And he owns a restaurant now. And before that, we used to work on entertainment. We used to organize a lot of Latino events here in the Northeast. And I was known by the party boy, the guy who always go crazy and used to get on the stage and play drums and dance with girls and that. So when I saw him, I mean, he reminded me of that day when I told him about me becoming a Christian. And it was funny enough that was one of his first questions. Are you still a Christian?
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, you remember? So he actually said, yeah, I do remember because... And then my family was around me, and then he started telling people how he used to see me as, this guy that that for him was like crazy, and I was even my nickname at that time was like Crazy Boy or
Crazy Boy.
Yeah. So it was quite interesting to see him and for him to tell that story to my family. But it also was very nice to hear that he asked me, what happened to you? Because I see you differently for what you. And for me to tell him, okay, well, this is what happened, and share what Jesus did in my life at that time. It was very nice. It was very, very nice.
I like how you said he asked you what happened. So that's what we're talking about today. What happened? So if you just think of, at what point did you make what made you make up your mind to be a Christian? Why did you choose to be a Christian?
I think I was brought up in a Catholic background, so you always have the religious side of things. About Jesus, about church, about what to do in life to be good, to be positive, and those things. But then personally, I was thinking, that's what I don't want. I don't want that. I didn't like the whole organization of church, to be honest. And then making my mind up while I was growing up, I thought, I don't want to be part of it. I want to do something different.
So on purpose,
yeah,
on purpose. Want to follow God. Oh,
exactly.
Wow.
I was considered myself a little bit of a rebel when I was growing up. So then I started reading about politics, like a lot of books about Che Guevara or Fidel Castro or people like that. And so then I was consuming quite a lot of different thoughts. Yeah. And then I was pretty much putting Jesus or even
anything religious,
anything that become a little bit religious back. So then, of course, became a lot of things. I was learning about energy. I was learning about Inca religion. Learning about all those things, respecting Earth, loving
the universe.
The universe and nature and those things. But I think one of the things I didn't want to become was a Christian. I used to.
So you were fighting it.
Yeah, I was fighting against it, and then I had like a picture of me of a guy telling me one time, and this is quite a story because there was a kid on Monument that he used to preach, and he used to come and just share the gospel to anybody. And I was coming out from this party, and it was late, and it was literally the next day, and I remember this kid preaching, and then he came really close to me, and he said, "Oh, Jesus loves you," and I said, "Man, don't talk to me about that because I don't want to hear it." And I had this kind of honor. Every time I listened to somebody talk to me about Jesus, it used to give me something, you know what I mean? I didn't know what it was. But then I said, if you continue talking to me like that, I will punch you.
Ooh, yeah. Johnson is very direct.
So I was like, and he's still doing it. And then at one point I thought, I really was going to punch him. And then, honestly, if you see this, I will come to you. Please let me know because I will ask forgiveness. Because now that I'm one of those Christians, I'm thinking, wow, what a guy. And also,
he didn't give up.
Where's you with me? Yeah, but he didn't give up and he kept saying it. And honestly, I always had those things in my head. So yeah, becoming a Christian was something that I never thought. I was in the best time of my life, according to what I believe. And then I meet Jesus watching a TV program.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
By yourself?
By myself, yeah. At that time, I was looking to get divorced. I went to London after having a very good agreement with a big company here in the Northeast. We were planning to organize better the business I was running, and then we managed to have the contract. So I was partying and I was celebrating, and then my wife, she literally didn't like it, so she moved to London. And I was thinking, you know what, it's a better thing because I thought that was better for me, that was better for her, be on my own, so she can
have all the time to party and do what you want to do.
We were okay in that. That's what I thought. And then I went to London to ask her if we can get divorced. That was the reality of it. And those my thoughts. But I know for sure now, God's thoughts were differently at that time. So I went to London, I spoke to her and said, look, I need to talk to you. But then she silently changed the conversation. She said, oh, you know what, John, come in, have a seat. And as I say, I was still hungover, so I said, okay, I'm gonna sit, and then her dad says, "Oh, you can watch a movie," and I love movies. So I thought, yeah, why not? So when they left, they actually he put play on that DVD recorder at that time, and then I thought I was gonna watch a movie. Turns out it was a preacher.
Oh, no.
So yeah, that is how I met Jesus. That
Wow.
preacher was talking to me directly, me and him,
Mm-hmm.
and the room environment changed. And then I thought I was getting a bit cuckoo because the night before I was partying very, very hard, and I
you
thought
are like
exactly
having this encounter all by yourself.
Exactly. And then this guy says, "You need Jesus," and that was it. And then I thought, maybe I do. But it took me a good.
I like
good,
that.
Yeah.
I like that. Wow, that's an interesting story. Like just meeting Jesus. Like wow,
Yeah.
wow. Now, do you know like now you met Jesus? 14 years after, there's a change. John Villegas. Was it like magical? Did you have a part to play in the sense that because today we live in a very fast-paced world, we want things done at the snap of a finger. If it's not done microwave, like if it's not done quickly, like that means it's not true. We don't have time. We just want to go to the next thing. The change you see now in your life, was it very instant, or were there things you had to do? Was it a process?
No, I think people, as you say, people now are used to things going very quickly. But I think God works specifically on your life, and He knows exactly what you need and how you need to be treated about your own personal failures or changes that you need to change. But what we need to do is let Him do the job. And sometimes what we want is we want to still drive our lives in the ways we want it to, because we love control. Humans, we like to control things. We love to get the control more and see what we watch.
And when charged by independent people.
Well, that's what we are as humans. But God wants to take control of that. And that is the hard part for us.
You have to surrender.
Exactly, because that's what we need to do. We need to surrender to that. So then God can show you what is that He wants, to go or see or do. Because there's quite a lot that he needs to see you changing. And in that way, when you allow Him to take control, when you allow Jesus to take control of your life, then they start seeing things differently, You start seeing your life changing. You start seeing your family changing. You start seeing your work changing. You start seeing the way you speak. You start seeing the way you think changing. So there is a lot of stuff that starts changing.
Because it starts from in here, isn't it?
It starts on that decision. Because I think people sometimes think that you need to be spiritual ready to meet Jesus, but that is not true. I think you need to be just ready and then allow Him to do that. Exactly. So then you will learn. You know what I mean?
As you grow.
Exactly. And I think that's what I love about God, because He makes us see things in life, so then you can take that and apply it to your life in God. So, my appeal for people that have kids, or kids never ask us, "Dad, what you do? Mom, what you do? How much money you make?" They just say, "Oh man,
can I have this?
Well, I need this, or I need that," and it's up to us really to do it, and to allow them to have everything or not having it. Sometimes that is the part of growing up. You allow your kid to do things because you know exactly what is right. So it becomes your priority to do it. God is pretty much the same with us. He wants to give us everything, but at the right time, we need to surrender that control that we want to have as humans.
But it's not easy. It's not, like you said, it's not easy though. Like it's painful because you already have your setting where you want to live your life and all that, and you need to just surrender all of that. Was there any point that you'd be like, am I really doing the right thing? Am I being stupid here? Or did you ask yourself questions like, John, what are you doing? Like, and I'm sure like maybe they've called you for a party, I'm like, nah, I'm not partying, I'm not drinking today. You're thinking,
no, it wasn't easy. I mean, it wasn't easy. I think God puts the right people around you. That's one thing, they put the right people.
Yeah.
So having the right people around is good. And one of the things you need to become, and this I learned from Pastor Clive, I love him, when he says you need to be accountable, And when I learned that word, for me, it was like, wow, that really opened my eyes, because being accountable is very strange for people that comes from anyway. Nobody wants to see how you manage your money, you know? It's uncomfortable. If somebody says, oh, show me how you do it, you're going to say, why? Exactly. So God wants us to be accountable. He wants us to be open books, you know, like we have to show him everything. And you know, and this is one of the things we don't like. So becoming accountable to God is one of the first things. And make decisions, make you need to make changes. And that means you need to do something. For example, the party part that I remember for me was standing up. I used to live on the 10th floor building, and I can see the whole city, you know, and that was for me very interesting when I was, because I used to see that city and I was, I'm the king of this place, I'm gonna run this place, and I want to make business, I want to make money, you know, that was my goal. And I used to see this city as I want to do something. But then when I become a Christian, I looked at the city and I was thinking, this is not what God wants me to do. And I stopped doing those things. One of the things I become radical on it, a year after, I stopped doing the entertainment part of it. I dropped my business completely.
Because you know there was no way you're going to be able to, like, it's not like entertainment is wrong, isn't it, in that sense, but you knew that's something you were struggling with, and if you continued and with the same circle of people, you will not be able to come out. So that's to be like a separation, like you said, being around the right people and doing the right people for you.
I learned to pray, which was one of the first things you need to learn. Because sometimes we think that prayer is be, as I say again, is be really spiritual, but it's not. It's just saying the right thing is just what I need to change. For example, finding the weaknesses on your life is one of the first things you do as a Christian. When I started, I said, look, God, I need to say that I'm an alcoholic, for example. I'm drinking too much, and I need to change this, because if I don't, then my life is a risk, my health is a risk, my family is a risk. But then for me to say it first was really hard, because I didn't realize how much I was drinking till at one point I said, I'm not going to drink all the drinks that people was giving for free. Even the nightclubs were like allowing me to drink and that. So I said, I'm going to keep it. And then in one point, in one night, at the end, I saw around 30 glasses, right, of alcohol. And I used to love whiskey, and that was like doubles. So I was drinking quite a lot in one night. Me realizing that was hard, because before it was just, you know, it was a normal thing to do.
Wow.
I was smoking a lot. I was working at the time that even you were allowed to smoke inside nightclubs, and so I was drinking and smoking, and I didn't realize how much I was smoking till one day I said, okay, I'm gonna see it, and in the end of the night I was smoking almost 2 or 3 packages of 20 cigarettes, and then when you start seeing those things, you're thinking, wow, so that's why I don't have money in my account, because I was spending so much money. You know, I'm spending in drinks and I'm spending in cigarettes, and then of course the recreational drugs that you use and stuff like that. So things start going.
So right now, so when you surrender to God, let Him take the driver's seat of your life, you begin to see things from a different perspective. So the things that were like pleasure and fun, begin like, man, this is killing me. So you begin to see things more clearly, because right now it's like there's a scale off your eyes. That's what Jesus does. So He takes the scale off your eyes. Then you begin to see things like
I mean, I love that part in the Bible when He says, Jesus is the truth, and then through Him you will see the truth. You know, and for me that is fantastic, because it is a fact now. When you pray and when you seek God on your life, He shows you those painful things that you sometimes don't want to confront. But then it's like having, you know, it's like having the biggest bounces around you when you have God, because you can fight this, you know, and spiritually when you see this happening, that is the miracle, and that's when your faith starts growing, because you start seeing things that you think, wow, I never thought that I'm gonna be out of drugs or alcohol or the party life. When you start seeing that, you feel free about it and you don't miss them and you don't exactly. So that's
your
for
life
me.
Is better now.
Exactly. That's why I believe in God, because He did that for me. Exactly. So in my life is nothing else. I know it for a fact. I tried before, you know, when my daughter was born, I said I'm not gonna smoke. I stopped for 2 years, but the third year I came back with vengeance. You know, the same with alcohol. I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna work, but I'm not gonna drink, and I start drinking just 1 glass, 2 glasses, and then when I realized I was drinking almost 30 glasses. So yeah.
So if I take you from there, that clearly shows that in our own strength we can't make the changes because sometimes people without Jesus or without anything, they know there's a problem. This trend, like you said, because it's like that's quite a journey you've been through. Like you've tried to do it on your own, you fall back, and when you fall back that way, you really fall back really hard, isn't it? Like you go back like triple what you're trying to go. But now you've seen it, like you said. I really like what you said because you've seen this change in your life. Jesus did it, so no one can tell you anything that there's no God. Like sometimes people say, "Oh, there's no God. Is there really a God?" In trying to explain to people, this is my story. This is not anybody's story. This is what he did for me, so I can boldly say without a shadow of doubt. And that's exactly what you just said now. This is you. He's brought me from this point to this point, so I can say, like, end of discussion, there is God, isn't it? And that's what I really want to try and, with this series and with these stories too. There's a God. God makes the difference in our lives. This is John's story. It's not my story. I didn't even know all of this. I just know John has a story. John was not once a Christian. He's a Christian, but he's taking us through the process, how he got to where he is now. And on his own, he couldn't do it until Jesus came into the picture. And I like what you really did there. You let Jesus take control. Because sometimes we say, you can say that believer's prayer 1,000,001 times. You can say it every Sunday when you make an altar call. If you do not give Jesus the control of your life, you're just wasting your time. You're going to keep saying that stuff because there's going to be no change. Because some people are like, well, I go to church every Sunday. There's no God. Like, because you have stood the Lord of your life. You haven't let Jesus. You just said it, but you've actually not let him be the Lord of your life until he takes control. I'm really, really happy with the story and where you've put it, like the progression
and you're always gonna go for it, you know.
It's every day.
Exactly.
It's not finished. So you're not an expert. You're not an expert Christian. No, that's the thing. Nobody. The beautiful thing about Jesus, it doesn't leave you just one chain and another. It keeps until we meet him. Every day you get better and better and better and better and better until we. So what you were 14 years, not what you're not out here, but this is not the end of your journey. You keep going. You keep getting better.
Keep going.
Keep getting better.
It's something that you need to meet Jesus every day of your life. So then
like
that is what makes a change. Otherwise, if you leave that goal, then you know the Bible says very something which I love it when you don't have that relationship, right? Because that's what it is in the end of the day. You know, if you don't have it, then you don't have it. I mean, if you stop talking to me right now, all right, let's say you just forget about me or contact me or trying to find out who am I or what I'm doing. That's it. I'm just gonna remember you and I remember.
I used to know
that's it. I used to know. But you know what? It makes us people have a relationship is what we do. We take care of the kids. John, please, can you help me this? Of course I'll do. So we build up a friendship. We do a relationship, and this is exactly what happened with Jesus. People come one day to Jesus and say, "Help me." Because they think that that's the only thing Jesus could do, help you in that moment, and that's it. But we forget about that relationship. We stop praying, we stop reading the Bible, and then in a point we're thinking, oh, nothing is happening.
It's not happening.
And this is true because you actually have
done
lost
nothing.
that. You're not doing anything. So it is a personal choice in that you need to continue that relationship with Jesus because that's when you start knowing him, then when you start knowing what the Bible really means to you, you know. When I started, I couldn't understand the Bible.
But the more you read it, the more you're asking God.
You know, I was saying, God, I need to know you. I need to really know what you're saying through this. And then the Bible starts opening to you, and then you start seeing these things, and then the prayer becomes not just a prayer, not just a thankful God for the day. It becomes every single almost every minute and every hour. That's what the goal is, you know. But I'm not saying become religious on that, because that is wrong. But then if you have a relationship, that's what it makes a difference.
See, Uncle John I didn't even know you're a preacher as well. I didn't know you're a preacher as well. I think that's a good place to end. Like, I like how you said it's a relationship. So if I go back to the beginning of your story, the first thing is to actually surrender to Jesus, have an encounter. So you had an encounter with him, you give your life to him, and then you let him take control of your life, which is kind of painful because we're humans, we like to be in charge, but if you do not surrender, he can't take. The thing is, God has given us the will. He didn't make us to be like robots where he has control. It's always a thing of choice. With the Lord, anything you do with Jesus, it has to be a choice. So you choose to surrender. And then when you surrender, you start seeing him, you start to see things from his perspective. So those things that were fun to you became very irritating, isn't it? So you begin to see things. And then it's a continuous thing. It's not a one-off. And then because you're seeing gradual changes in your life, your trust in him is getting you're trusting him more and more and more, because like, if God did this is God is doing this, I can see it in my life. This is not like, it's not magical, it's not hearsay, this is my story. God is doing this. So because of that, your trust, so that's what, and then your relationship gets better and better and better and better. That's John's story, from the party boy, the alcoholic, to now 14 years later, a responsible dad, responsible husband, growing in the Lord. I'm really proud of you, Uncle John. Really proud of you. And so see, and when I was doing this series initially, it was more like, oh, if you don't know Jesus, then you help you know Jesus. But I think God really has greater plans for this. It's not really about people who don't know Jesus. Even me as a Christian, I was impacted by that, reminding me that I need to daily continue working with the Lord, and that's when I'm going to get better and better. So that's the end of today's episode. I'm really excited. I told you guys it's going to be like a very great conversation. Uncle John, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you so much for watching to the end. And as well, this is John's story, but if you've been impacted by this, share it as well. That's the only, so you watch it, you share it to someone else. That's how we just keep sharing these stories and keep impacting the world. I mean, the internet is full of things that we don't like. Why not we flood the internet with God's story and the things that God is doing in our life? Okay, that's it. So if you really like it, give the like, share to someone else that is going to bless as well. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for another episode next week. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Uncle John. All right, thank you. Bye, and God bless you all. Bye.